Hi everybody, I'm just put together this quick presentation with some information about preparing scent aids for use in your own scent work training with your own dog. I think I've got a cursor, can you see that? Oh. I'm not sure if you can see it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The first thing you've got to think about is whether you're going to go ready or homemade. So if you're new to nose work or scent work and you're not experienced, you haven't played around with the odor, and your dog is new and is very inexperienced, it's so much better to get ready-made ones. So that's when you just get a jar like here, this, and the Q-tips are cut and ready to go. They're pre-scented. And basically all you have to do is put them in a scent vessel, put them out, and give and they're set. I've got a couple of places, I can't remember actually. I know there's one, and you can get them from me anyway. At the end of this is the places where you can get it. There's also the other option where you can purchase your own oil and infuse your own scent aids. It definitely is a lot cheaper, but it's not, nosework oils don't break the bank, but it can be really fiddly, and you do need to be aware of like handling the odor, the oils and odor, same thing, especially again if you're inexperienced and if you've got an inexperienced dog, because you really need your dog as much as possible, and especially in the beginning, only experiencing that smell in the presence of being reinforced, so that you can get that strong association. And it's, pardon me, it's really easy to get that odor everywhere. You won't smell it, but your dog will, and it can just weaken their association to it and just make training harder, and you don't need that. And I've just said there, some people, I've seen this written, they'll get their oil and they will just dip a Q-tip in it. Oh my God, please don't do that. It's just going to be way too strong. And the other thing is that as soon as your Q-tip hits that bottle of oil, all of that oil is going to be contaminated, and for us that means it smells different. So if you then go and do all your training on that odor, and you don't use any other odor and just your stuff, your dog will probably not alert to other birch, because basically you've taught him to target, the target odor is a completely different smell. So it's very, very important. Don't do that. It's stupid. And I'm just going to talk you through some of the things that you need to know if you think you want to create your own scent aids here. But again, my preference for newbies is to go and just grab some from someone who knows what they're doing. Okay, so just a little bit about the scent work oils. We've got basically two bodies that are going to be doing nose work or scent work trials soon. The ACSW, that's the second one there, has been around for a while, and that's the privately run organisation, and they use three oils: the sweet birch, the anise, and the clove. And for ANKC, whose trials will be ready to go in as far as the ANKC goes in July, but obviously COVID and stuff's pushed us back a little bit, but there'll be mock trials going on throughout, and judges training going out at the end of 2020 hopefully. So they use the three that the ACSW use: sweet birch, anise, clove, but we add cypress to it as well. Any of these four odors I've said may be used in any division. So that simply means that for the ANKC, if you go into your first trial, your beginner entry trial, your dog will have to find one hide in each of the elements, and it could be any of these. So basically, before trialing, even at the bottom levels, you have to, your dog has to be able to target all of these odors. Okay, great. and it doesn't really matter because we're not trialing yet, but you'll know ahead of time which odor you're going to be searching for. I think that's true for ACSW as well. And just for your reference, I've put the Latin names here because that's really important when if you do go and buy your own odors. So I think there's 2 birches, and the one we want is Betula lenta. There's at least 2 anise oils that you can get, and so we want Pimpinella acinum, anisium, that's how you say it. I know it when I hear it, bloody things. Clove, and you don't need how to say them, but you need to know how to spell them so that when you're looking for it, you know what you're looking for. And the clove, there's several cloves out there. Is Eugenia caryophylleta, something like that. And good old cypress is, I have no idea because I'm only just new to that. So Capressus sempervirens, la-di-da. So yes, definitely need to know the Latin names of the oils that you need to get if you're wanting to do your own stuff. Otherwise, you'll just train your dog to find something that that is not ever going to help you in competition. So yeah, as much as we say just birch, anise, clove, cypress, and refer to our odors, or the oils that we use, you have to remember that when you're buying them, that there are different strains out there and different oils made from different species of plants that might come under, all come under birch, for instance, or you might be in a situation where I think with anise and clove, there's oils that are made from the clove bark, there's oils that are made from the clove leaf, and there's oils that are made from the clove bud. I'm pretty sure it's the bud that we use. So yeah, you just need to really be careful. And when you buy odor from like a canine nose work place or a scent work place, they will generally, you have a big batch of it and then just do it up like these ones are from the Canine Nose, where I've got several from, and I really like their stuff. They're in America. But you really want to make sure that they are a specialist nose work or scent work person. I would not get any of my oil from just an average sort of online pet shop that has not trained dogs up on these oils, because if they do this, if they put it in their little bottle with their little label on it, you have no reference now of where it's come from, of what year it was made, what batch number, all of that kind of stuff. So I really want to either get it from, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, a particular oil place where I can see exactly how it's been distilled, and what the ingredients that are there, or I'll get them done, pre-done by someone who knows what they're doing. Okay, so yeah, just reiterating, like a dog trained to alert to our anise is not going to alert to star anise, okay, so because it's a different smell. So it's the Pimpinella acinum is what we want. So just refer back to that other slide. Definitely double check before you buy, if you buy your oils, so that you know what you're getting. And definitely ensure that your oils are 100% pure. Don't do anything like, the oil, birch fragrance oil or birch carrier oil, or anything like that. 100% pure. Don't have to be organic. They just have to be 100% pure oil of the species that we listed on the page before. Okay, so when you get your oil, it's generally going to come in bottles like this, normally with the label on it and all of the info there. But oils last for like a long time. Like basically, if you keep them properly, they will last virtually forever. Although we do put a time limit on it just so that people don't do stupid things and like it 60 years later and they're still using the same birch. Things like oxygen, heat and light are all going to add to the degradation speed of your oils. So we need to make sure that we're storing them properly, and it's not hard. You just got to remember to store them properly. So in a situation where they're in bottles that are either sort of blue or amber, so not clear glass, because that is going to help diffuse the light. So these bottles, they block the amber ones, they block the AV light the best. And there's also blue ones I think you can get as well, and those dark green ones. That's important. Keeping it in a dark place, obviously like a cupboard, away from heat, so you don't keep it near your oven or anything like that. Making sure that you've got, once you've made all your scent aids, that you put the lid back on, and you put them up nice and tight, and you put them away. And I always recommend to people, because it's been recommended by chemists and other people who are real expert at these oils, that if your oil comes with a dropper, don't leave the dropper in there, because over time that rubber around in the dropper will sometimes cause problems. So you keep your dropper out separate, and I have a dropper for each of my oils, and I just put a normal lid on it nice and tight and store it away. Okay. And I have one of these little boxes as well, just so that I can keep them all nice and separate. And besides, I got it for free somewhere when I bought something else, and I found it nice for nose work. Okay, so we've said there, as I said, like basically the shelf life of an oil really is going to last, and it should have the therapeutic qualities that people use, for aromatherapy and stuff, for a good long while. But we basically say, 5 to 6 years. If you're still using the same bottle of oil, you might want to go and get yourself another bottle of oil. Basically, because in that time, if the trial organisation is using newer purchased oil, it might just be that your birch oil, for instance, was harvested from trees that were alive and well when you harvested them. When they harvested your oil, the trees for your oil. But now 6-7 years later, other birch trees have grown up, and just because of the different environmental effects, that birch might smell a little different to a dog that is trained and very aware of that kind of stuff. So that's another thing. So even though your oil might technically not be degraded because we're using it for scent work, there's that other aspect that we need to think about as well. And I've said there 2 years or so from the date of distillation, and that date should be on the bottle if you buy it. Just as a bottle, but there's no easy way to determine if an oil is still good. You're not going to be able to smell it, or it's not going to look a certain way or anything like that. And one of the things that you should do all the time is work your dog on other people's scent aids as well. The scent aids, what we call scent aids, are the Q-tips. Okay. So if in doubt, so you should be doing that. And if you're a bit worried about your oil, set some of your scent aids out in the hides to a dog other than yours, because your dog will be used to hunting for your particular oil, and just see if those dogs easily alert to it. And that'll give you an idea. If they've not seen your oil or experienced your oil before, if they alert to it, then you should be good. what have I said here? If dogs are only trained on your oil and you don't buy, yeah, okay. So basically, I'm just reminding us that we can train our dogs to be very narrow in what they understand birch means, or we can teach them to be broad. And basically, if you only ever train with your Q-tips, with your tins, your vessels, so the tins and what we put the scent aids in, we call the scent vessels, your dog is going to be very good at finding your scent aids in your tins, put out by you, whether or not you're wearing using gloves to put out the things. So all of those stimuli, other odor stimuli, olfactory stimuli, can be linked and can become important to the dog. So we just want that odor, the birch, to become important. So to be important, the mainstay, the most salient stimuli. So if you train with other people, it's a good idea for, like, if you've got 4 people in your group and you get together for training once a week or a couple of times a week, everybody should take turns in using their own odor and putting out odor for all of the other dogs. And that will keep it broader so that when they go into trial, if they have used a brand new batch of oil and blah, 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 then you're in a situation where your dog should be right. And just sort of carrying on from that, what I've said bird, but I mean birch, training club birch, and also, try them on fresh birch. So the Q-tips just gotten out of the infusing bottle, which you'll see in a minute, and put straight out. But then sometimes I will keep my scent aid in the tin, and just pack it up like this, and I might use them for a couple of weeks. But always understanding that in trial for both organisations, the club that they will use freshly prepared odor Q-tips. Okay, so just so you know that. And you can see here these. I've just really stuffing up these 2 pictures. This is what mine look like more often than not. It's unfortunate but true when I'm training my dogs. But if I'm training a class, and especially competition level class, then they're all packed and ready to go. So that there's no additional odor molecules being able to get onto these. And I put this out, for instance, and the dog works it, and I put it back in like this, and I've got these Q-tips around here. If the dog slobbered on it, if I've dropped a tiny little bit of food on this thingo that I haven't seen, I'm going to put it back in there, and all of these tips will be contaminated and be useless. Okay, so if you want to prepare your own scent aids, the first thing you've got to do is get, obviously, your target odor that we've talked about before, and we're going to infuse our scent aids with the molecules of the target odor. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, it's really important that you only get paper Q-tips and not plastic or bamboo, okay? Just for safety reasons, and also obviously if we're in a situation where we're just talking about the odor, these ones, because when we talk about the target odor, because we always use Q-tips, basically what the dog is searching for is birch molecules on a Q-tip, or anise molecules on a Q-tip. It's not really just the actual oil, if that makes sense. So if I have paper, then I've just got those, and that's one continuous object. I've just got the addition of the Q-tip odor to add to my target odor, or my oil odor, I should say. But obviously, if plastic, I've got other stuff that's going to get in there and just make it a more complex scent picture that they have to deal with. Okay, so just those ones. Okay, so here's we get to the nitty-gritties, preparing the scent aid. Here's a nice little thing I did. Whenever you're working with scent, wear gloves. It's not that hard. because you get a little bit on you, or you just you have no idea. It doesn't have to touch you. You get odor molecules on you, then you're going to touch everything, and you're going to get odor molecules everywhere. Again, for experienced dogs, it's not a problem because there's other environmental cues or stimuli that are telling the dog when it's valuable for the dogs to hunt for it and alert to it, and when they shouldn't be bothered. And my guys have been doing this for almost 8 years now, and there's been times when I've been teaching, or I've been doing a trial and judging, or a workshop or something, and they're in the car waiting for their turn or for me to finish, and they've got hot boxes in the back, because we're doing containers, or we might be doing an odor recognition trial, and I've opened up that van and gone, I smell the birch. So they've been in there for an hour with birch wafting around them. I can get them out and do a run with them, and they will find the hot box with no trouble. So, but I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying for experienced dogs that it's not just about like the odor being around. It's all the other or what we call antecedents, environmental stimuli as well. Come on. Okay, so cotton buds should be pre-cut in half, and normally what I do is I cut them in 3, so I cut the 2-bit ends off, and just leave the middle out, only because it just makes it easier to put them into smaller scent vessels than if I've got a long stem. Okay, you're gonna get a jar, a glass jar, not a plastic jar that will contaminate your oil. You're going to get plastic molecules in with your oil. So it has to be a glass jar with a tight seal lid. Has to be that can be airtight. You've got your glovies on, and you're going to take a cotton ball and place 2 drops of oil onto that, and then put that into the jar. And then you're going to put your trimmed tips, which will become your scent aids, in the jar, and put the lid on and shaky all around, and just put that in the cupboard and let that sit for a minimum of 48 hours. And that will allow the odor molecules that's coming from the 2 drops of odor, just two, don't get fancy. More is not always better in nose work at all. Just 2 there, and all the odor molecules will infuse onto the scent aids, and hey presto, you've got a scent aid. And you can store these in the jar for long term, as long as they're kept in a cool, dark place, as I've said. Now, some people will say to you, if you haven't used them up in 3 or 4 months, 6 months, like seriously, you'll take the lid off and you'll go, oh no, they're still good. But if you feel like you want to strengthen that odor up, or what we call refresh, then you can just get another. Don't fishy down and try and get that one out again, because you'll put all your smell and crap over these. So you're just going to get another one of these cotton balls, another 1 drop, and pop it in the top, and again just lid on and let it sit there for a bit. So odor strength is an important thing just to point out, because humans think that if the dog is looking for, say, 1 milligram of cocaine, that's going to be harder than searching for 1 kilo of cocaine. So we often think that, okay, well, hang on, my Q-tip's just infused with odor molecules. Wouldn't it be better, at least to start, if I made it really strong for my dog, so that I could give them an easier run of it? And it's not how it works. Basically, what they call the direct drop method, which is a technique that's used in some organizations to create their scent aids, the direct drop method, where they actually drop those 2 drops of oil on the Q-tip. That's going to create, yes, a very strong source of odor, and more than anything, what you need to understand is that if you train the direct drop method, and that's predominantly what the dog experiences, it's going to be very difficult to find odor source that is not as strong. That makes sense to you, but the other way is true too. If I train my dog on these infused Q-tips, and then I go and ask him to find a big one with drops on it, it's actually a very different. Remember, I talked before about you've got to teach boundaries. What are your birch boundaries? So it oftentimes is outside of the boundary of the dog's experience. So it's not even that it smells more. Stronger smells different to dogs, or more smells different. And there's lots of stories of police dogs out there who are trained on that 1 milligram of cocaine, and they take them into a warehouse, and the dog does not indicate on the 10 kilos of cocaine that's hidden under the stairs, because it's completely different. That's very, very common. A story. So you have to know that whatever you're wanting your dog to find, quantity, age. So, when we're training, we put out our odors and we might let them sit for 10 minutes, but we also want to let them sit for 2 hours, because that's going to be a different scent picture, and it's going to be a different potentially from what we understand scent. So they just need to experience finding the odor in all of the variances that you're going to require them to find it when they are working, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've just said that both of the organizations out here use the absorption method. So that means the oil is never directly going to contact the scent aid. Okay, very cool. Okay, so I've just said that already. Strength or quality of the odor, it's very different to the dogs. It's not just one is stronger and one is weaker. There's other things that because they're smelling at a molecular level, there's basically, it smells different to them. Now we can train them to understand that those differences, we can generalize is probably the correct word, what birch means, but we've just got to be aware that it's a different sort of level of perception than we're used to with odor. I've already said that, but it's important to remember so that in your training you mix it up. And in trials, it's obviously really important that the strength of the odor is predictable and consistent. And I'm just saying there that the ruling in the books, which you can go and look up the rule books for both organisations, the trial for ANKC at least has to be prepared. In accordance with the rule book. Okay, and really important as well is just getting rid of your scent aids, just disposing of them, because there's lots of people doing this now, and you can reuse them definitely, but eventually you want to throw them out, and you have to remember that there's other people doing this, so please just wrap them up. I usually just use, like, if I've got if I've had a packet of chips, or I've had a Coke or a water or something like that, I might just put them in that container or wrap them up in the packet and throw them out at home like that. Try not to. It's really, really kind if you don't throw them away in a public area, because if someone else comes along the next day or within an hour and you've just thrown out your Q-tips, which the dog will still be able to perceive, it might stuff up their training. So just take them home with you. Okay, so just finally, and then I've just got a video just in case you need it of me preparing my odor, my scent thingos. If you want to get oil in a bottle and make your own, this is the place that I would get it from. That's where the ACSW get their oil from, and then Alert Pets are the ones that make up the Q-tips that the ACSW, the Australian Canine Scent Work organisation, uses. And I've just put again the odor that or the oils that you're going to be looking for. As I said at the beginning, if you are not experienced in this, and if you've got an inexperienced dog, very, very, very strongly suggest to get some pre-done scent aids from somewhere. Now, I do them. I don't advertise I do them. I just do them for my students. And when people order them, or when I need to do a batch, I'll let them know to see if they need any more. But Alert Pets is probably the only place at the moment that I know of that are making them. Again, whether you get them from me or from Trini, wherever you get your pre-done tips made from, just do everything that you can to make sure that they are what they are labelled as, and that the oil that the chips have been infused with is the correct species that you have up here. Okay, all right, so you can go if you want to, but for what it's worth, I just wanted to show you this. It's not hard. I'm just showing you there that I've got the bottle of birch oil. I've already cut up my Q-tips. That's the buds that I'm going to use. The Q-tips are in there. You can't see it because everything's white, but they're all cut up and in there already. Now, I haven't done 30 here as the rules suggest. I think I've got about 500 in there. So I'm just going to use a bit more oil. So I'm putting 1 or 2 in there. I'm trying hard still not to touch the bottle onto that. Well, I should be. I would give myself a little rap over the knuckles if I watched me doing that, just because I don't know what's on that lid, and I've just touched that lid there to that bud now, and that could potentially stuff up the oil in there, but not too bad, but it's not the greatest thing. You don't want to touch anything to your oil bottle. So I've just putting all of them in there, and I'm going to I think put another scent vessel or carrier, we call it, in a minute, because I've just got so many. So that's 3 buds in there, with or cotton balls, I should say, in there with 1 or 2 drops of oil, and then I'm filling the rest of that bottle up. Okay, so you don't need much at all. Alrighty then, I hope that helps.